Economic forecasters are reporting that the vote for Brexit could spark a sharp slowdown in Scotland's economy. The Fraser Vallender Institute also predicts that the jobless rate will rise. With that and other business news, here's our business and economy editor, Douglas Fraser.
Well, the prospects for the Scottish economy were already getting worse earlier this year, but following the vote for Britain to leave the European Union, they've worsened a lot. Growth next year was forecast to rise nearly 2%. Now, these Strathclyde University economists are saying only half of 1% and possibly recession. They're saying uncertainty feeds a loss of confidence about spending and investing, feeding through to higher unemployment. That's forecast to rise this year by more than 20,000 from the most recent level and nearly as much again next year. Slower growth would also mean less tax revenue for Holyrood and for Westminster. So how far can government go to counteract the threat of a Brexit slump? The economics of Brexit were being discussed today at Holyrood.
The economy will return to growth. The question is whether it's going to be in the same level of growth as it was in the past, post the EU. So I think the longer term, you're moving less away from having a continued stimulus to actually more is what policies are in place to help promote growth across the economy in a world where you're no longer part of the European Union.
Well, the Brexit impact on low interest rates and bank earnings is one of the main reasons given by Lloyds Banking Group, parent to Bank of Scotland, as it announced another 3,000 jobs are to go and 200 more branches are to close. They're not saying where in the UK that will be. And in a busy day of other business news, the biggest distiller of Scotch whisky, Diageo, reported a 4% drop in the amount of Johnnie Walker being sold. But as blended whiskies decline, there was an 8% rise in sales of its classic single malts. Distillers really need trade routes to stay open after Brexit.
What's most important for us is let's keep Scotch whisky healthy. This is a thriving, successful business for the UK, and my focus is really ensuring we get the right conditions to continue to be successful, because the runway for Scotch whisky around the world is very attractive, particularly in the emerging markets.
Well, among other big employers in Scotland's oil and gas sector, a big fall in half-year profits for Shell. Centrica is cutting back on its North Sea production with no exploration going on at all. And there's Weir Group, a big engineer based in Glasgow. It sells services and equipment for oil drillers and frackers around the world, for miners, for power stations. And profits so far this year down by quarter. It shed half of its American workforce. And the chief executive, Keith Cochrane, announced he's also leaving after 7 years at the top.
Douglas Fraser.